I'd really rather be sitting on my couch with a glass of wine. Who's next? Go, 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 go. Come on. Sit. My favorite student. Thank you for coming to see me about your score. So let's see what we're working with. Let me see if I can find your file. Yes. Oh. Oof. Mm-hmm. Okay, I've seen enough. Let me put it to you this way. Your jokes in class are not as good as your grades, and I'm gonna tell you right now. It needs to change. Oh, you don't believe me? Here you go. See for yourself. Exhibit A. B. C. Okay. So I see a lot of potential here. And obviously you coming here to me shows me that you are worried about your grades. And that's great. I know for a fact that you could do so much better. I see the potential in you. And I want to put you on the path to improvement. I can see your potential, so I really want to help you improve your grades. Let's get to work. We could work on this for sure. Are you in? Okay, let's get to work. Hey peeps, it's Rina and welcome to my anxiety-filled life. If you are new here, thank you and welcome to the family. Join if you want to with that subscribe button. If you are returning from a previous video, thank you for returning. We finally passed 200 subscribers, so I'm a little hype, a little geeked up, just a little bit. I just want to say thank you so much for your support and your engagement in the comments. I told myself I wouldn't cry. I'm good. So today I wanted to dress up like a teacher and take you out to school. And today we're going to be talking about credit scores, as you can see by the title. I know it's like a dun 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 type of situation, but don't be worried. I know it's a daunting topic, but I'm going to break it down and make it really simple and easy to understand. If this video could prevent at least one person from going to a credit repair person that I see all the time, I mean, no shade to them, but a lot of the stuff that they do is very simple, honestly. Am I a credit repair professional? Not by any means. I'm not. But I used to be in 500s and now I'm in the high 700s, and I did that by myself. No credit repair help. But I mean, if you need it fast, like you need a house or something really quick, go to them, pay your money. But if you have time and you're willing to put in the work, then just watch my video and you should be fine. So right now I'm in the high 700s and I hope to be in the 800s by the end of this year. That was a quick humble brag because I feel like I don't brag about myself enough. But moving on. So credit scores can be a very scary topic. And I know it's like a topic that people want to shy away from, or they want to ignore their credit scores because they're just too scared to look. But I'm telling you right now that, you know, it's okay, that no matter how low your score is, there's always room for improvement and you can raise your score. So today I'm going to be talking about the factors in your credit score, the credit bureaus and their credit score models, as well as tips for improving your credit score. Let's get straight into today's video. So you've probably heard about credit scores frequently by now, and you know, it's just one of those things that people know of, but they don't truly understand. So I'm going to break it down today. So credit scores are basically like report card grades, and they basically run from 300 to 850, with 850 being the perfect score. The purpose of credit scores are to measure how likely you are to pay back your debt, managing your debt, as well as paying your debt on time. So basically being an adult and fiscally responsible. But life happens, emergencies happen, things happen. So credit scores aren't always perfect. That's the whole point of these scoring models. Credit scores are significant because they basically show a bank or a lender how likely you are to pay back the money that you borrowed. So whether it's a car loan, student loan, personal loan, any type of installment loan, paying back your credit card, or even a business loan. So the higher your score is, the better your terms are going to be, such as like a lower interest rate. So a credit score is important. I'd also like to note that some people don't even have a credit score, and you're like, what does that mean? So basically, you only get a credit score when you're managing debt or if you have debt. If you don't have a credit score, that means you don't owe money to anyone and you probably pay for everything in cash. But for many Americans, this is not a scenario that is very feasible. Not everybody has cash just lying around. So people have to depend on debt like credit cards and loans to get their houses and stuff like that. So in terms of how you get your credit score, it depends on 5 factors. The 5 factors that your credit score depends on are payment history, credit utilization or credit to debt ratio, your age of credit or average age of credit, your types of debt, as well as your new debt, or taking out new credit, new lines of credit or new debts. I just listed those in order of most important to least important, with payment history being the most important, and then new debt and types of debt are both the least. The reason I say this is because payment history is about 35% of your score, and then 10% of your score is new debts, and 10% of your score is types of debt. Think of each factor as like a class or subject in school, and you have to score a certain amount in order to get a grade average. The first 3 are most important, and they cover 80% of your score. 80%, so keep that in mind. Your on-time payment history is very simple, so it's basically your ability to pay your debts on time. So missing 1 payment or 2 payments can drastically affect your score, so you do not want to miss any payments. Your credit utilization or credit to debt ratio is very important because it's not just a matter of how much you're spending, but it's about how much debt you owe in comparison to your limit. Spending $500 on a credit card that has a $1,000 limit is completely different from spending $500 on a card that has a $10,000 limit. And you can see the math here. The plan is always to keep your credit utilization below 30%, 20% to be really safe, but 30% is usually, the limit. So your age of debt is looked at 2 ways. So it's looked at with the average debt. So say you have 5 debts, they look at the age of all your debts and then combine them and then get the average of those 5 debts. They also look at the age of your oldest debt. So I have a credit card that I've had for, I think, 7 years. That's my oldest one. I would never close that one down, because if I had closed that, then the age of my debt as well as the average age will shorten, and that's not good for my score. It's going to drop. So I have to keep that credit card open, as well as my other debts. Try not to open up too many new debts, as well as try not to close any old debts, because they'll change the age of your credit. There are 3 main types of credit, which are installment loans like student loans, revolving debt like credit cards, and then mortgages. So this only takes up 10% of your score, like I said before, so it's not too much to worry about, in my opinion. And then new debts, which is the last one, is also 10% of your score. It's just like the amount of new debts that you're opening up. So there are 3 credit bureaus that you might have heard of. There's TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Those are the big 3. They are basically the teachers in this scenario, and they have their own algorithms on which they report your scores. The algorithms for these scoring models basically measure the risk of a person paying back their debts. They're always testing out new models depending on the way that Americans spend their money. Right now, the main scoring models are the Vantage 3.0 and the FICO 8. I believe they're testing out the Vantage 4.0 and FICO 9.0, but don't quote me on that. Experian uses the FICO 8.0 model, and Equifax and TransUnion both use the Vantage 3.0 model. So even though all of these credit report models are very similar in the way that they, measure risk, they all get different information from different companies. So some companies don't report to all three bureaus. Maybe they'll report to one, two, or all three. So that's why the numbers vary. That's one of the reasons why the numbers vary. Each model also has a different scoring. So some score from 350 to 850. Some score from 300 to 850. So these are some of the reasons why you might go on Credit Karma and you might see two different scores, and then you go on the Experian app and you have a higher score or lower score. They're all different. Your main goal is to be in the 700s and above, because that will get you better terms when you apply for new credit, like a new credit card or a house or a car. You don't want to be that one person, flaunting like you have a Beamer and everything, but you paying 24% on a $50,000 loan. That doesn't make any sense. 24%. Stay away from those car companies that be like, no credit, no problem, because it won't be a problem, because they'll be charging you way more than that car is even worth once it hits off the lot. I'm just letting you know now. And if you do have one of these loans, please refinance with somebody else. Do not put yourself in a place where you're paying basically 2 mortgages on a car that loses its value. So now I'm going to go over my 10 tips for raising your credit score. You don't have to use these tips. These are the things that I did to raise my score from the 500s to now high 700s. I'm going to take this out because I feel fancy when I use it. Ooh. I feel fancy when I use this. Tip number 1. Focus on the top 3 factors that take up 80% of your score. I mean, that seems like common sense, but I feel like some people focus on the other 2 factors that don't really affect your score too much. You might go up like 1 or 2 points or 5 points. But those big 3, the credit utilization, the on-time payment history, as well as the age of credit, those are the big ones. Focus on that. Tip number 2, research ways to boost your score. So I didn't use these methods, but I've seen other people use them and I know it works. So I would definitely say check out Self-Lender and Experian Boost. So Self-Lender is basically a service where you basically borrow money from yourself. I know it sounds crazy and stupid, but it works. And you basically pay yourself back in monthly, payments. And you get to choose, your limit. Say you want to borrow $500 from yourself, you're going to pay yourself $500. You get that money back. But that service reports to the credit bureaus that you're paying your payments on time. So it's like having a loan, except you're in control of it. Experian Boost is on the Experian app. I've seen this before. Basically, you get to link your bank accounts that you use to pay your rent payments as well as your utilities. And based on, your on-time payments and stuff, they'll boost your points. So some people have seen a 2-point boost. Some people have seen up to 40 points. So it's worth a shot. If you, are a person that pays your debts on time and your payments on time, go for it. Tip number 3 is raising your credit limit. So I have done this multiple times. I have 2 credit cards, one through Discover and one through Forever 21 credit card. Don't judge me. I wanted that 20% off discount. Now that I look back, it was a stupid decision because I don't really shop there no more. So mistakes were made. Don't judge me. Judge your mama. Like I was saying, I request my credit limit raised probably every 6 months or so. I can't really tell you for sure, but usually either they raise it for me, or if I feel like, hey, it's been a long time since they gave me a raise, I'll request a raise. It's really easy. I don't know how it is for other credit card companies. Like Forever 21, I started at, I think it was a $200 limit, and then they raised me to $500, and I didn't ask for it. So when you pay on time and they see that you're doing well with the credit card, they're gonna raise your limit anyway, so don't worry about that. But now I'm up to, I think $12K on my Discover credit card, and I've had it for 7 years. That's not really high compared to a lot of people who have like, you know, a $500,000 limit or something like that. But, you know, I'm getting there. I'm really happy. And I only have a balance of like $92 on it. So obviously my credit utilization is very, very low. Tip number 4, pay your bills on time. I cannot stress this enough. I set all of my bills on autopay, and I mean that. I like to set it and forget it. Hopefully that's not trademarked, and I won't get flagged for this video. But yeah, that's what I do. I have 100% on-time payment history because I put everything on autopay. All my bills are on autopay. And you saw the video that I made before about how I set up my budget, but I have dates, you know, where I check off every time I make a payment. So even if my bills are on autopay, I still make sure that they're paid. There's a lot of apps as well that can remind you to do payments, or you can even put it in your calendar like 3 days or a week before the payment is due to remind yourself, hey, this payment is due. You know, give yourself reminders. But I'm telling you right now, miss one payment and it's going to drop your score drastically, so don't do it to yourself. Tip number 5. So tip number 5 is disputing incorrect information. This can help remove derogatory remarks like tax liens, collections, late payments, foreclosures, bankruptcies, that type of stuff. It's kind of like telling your teacher, like when you get a grade and you know you worked really hard, you're like, something ain't right, and then like you basically like pull out the receipts. Okay, I'm being dramatic. This is not even like, I got it upside down too. By the way, this is not a CVS receipt. This is a ShopRite. We buy a lot of stuff every 2 weeks. I'm gonna put that away. But yes, so basically have your receipts so that you have proof. That's what I'm saying. Back when I was in college, I made an appointment to go to my school doctor, and I had canceled my appointment 3 days prior because they said you have to cancel within more than 24 hours in order to not get charged. They still charged me a fee, and I never knew this, right? And I had left the school, so they kept sending me mail to my old dorm saying you haven't paid this amount, you haven't paid this amount. And I'm like, what the heck? So it showed up as collections on my Credit Karma. So I called Credit Karma and I'm like, I don't know what this collection is. They told me it was the SU, you know, medical center or whatever. And I'm like, what? So I called up the medical center. I told them to fix it. I had documentation proving that I had canceled my appointment 3 days prior and I should not be charged for a no-show. And it was only like, I think $25, but it dropped my score. So, or $50, I don't remember, whatever. So I made sure that they fixed it, and I kept following up until I saw it removed from my school, until I saw it removed. So also call the collection agency once it's been confirmed that the person who, you know, reported your collection or late payment or whatever, make sure that you say, hey, they removed it, and get documentation for this stuff so that, you know, nothing is up in the air. You know exactly what's going on, and then you keep a track of it. And then, yeah, so it got removed, and I didn't have to worry about it, and my score went back up. So, yeah. To dispute something, you can either call up the creditor and the original company that, you know, reported to the creditor, or you could fill out a dispute online. That's, you know, the more formal way. Tip number 6 is sending a Goodwill letter. So this letter is pretty much like a letter of explanation and like of like good faith to the creditor and the lender, saying like, hey, this is why I have a collection or a late payment, say your circumstances and stuff like that. So the letter is basically saying, how did you get in that situation? What are you doing to improve your situation? And how are you going to make sure that you're not going to be in that situation again? I haven't had to do a Goodwill letter, but I know of people who have to do one. I know a lot of credit repair companies charge to do these letters. They're very simple. There's lots of samples online. I'm actually going to link a sample from NerdWallet that I found in the description box. So, you know, save yourself a little coin. Also, with a Goodwill letter, you can kind of negotiate your balance if you want to. It's worth a shot. Like, it's not going to hurt you either way. So you can either say, hey, can you remove this? Or, hey, can you decrease the balance on this? Just negotiate a little bit, you know. Make them feel like, you know, you're determined to pay the debt, but you wanted it to be a little bit more manageable. Just massage the words a little bit. to make it seem like, yes, I'm going to pay off this debt. Do it. And even if you remove these debts and collections off your credit report, you still have to pay them. Yes, they're not going to be reporting to the credit bureau anymore, but you don't want to have to fall into a habit where you're not paying off your debts. A lot of people fall into that loophole where they're just like, well, they're not reporting anymore, so what am I paying? I mean, you can do that. That's on you. But don't be surprised when Uncle Sam come out with his hand like the Gross Sisters. I'm just saying. If you don't pay your money, it's going to come out somehow. I'm sorry if this is distracting, but this is just way too fun. And I feel like a real teacher, even though I'm not a teacher. I'm stupid. Tip number 7 is lots of patience. So with credit inquiries, they fall off after 2 years. So you can't just call up somebody and just remove that credit inquiry unless it was false and you didn't sign an agreement that they can pull your credit. That's the only way. But if you did sign something approving that, you know, someone can pull your credit and it was a hard pull, then you're gonna have to just wait 2 years. By the end of this year, I should have one credit inquiry on my report, which I'm grateful for. But it's gonna go back up to 2 anyways because I'm going to be applying for another credit card anyways. So that is what it is. Tip number 8, knowing the difference between hard pulls and soft pulls. Pulling up your credit score on Credit Karma and apps like MyFICO and Experian app and your your credit cards or stuff like that, those are soft pulls. Like, they're not going to affect your credit score. So when I signed up for Credit Karma years ago, I was like, what if, you know, I get in trouble and my score drops when I check my score? Don't worry about that. Those are soft pulls. They do not affect your score at all. What you need to worry about is the hard pulls from loan companies or bank or a mortgage company, you know, so they can see your score if you're applying for new credit. Those are hard pulls. Those are definitely going to drop your score. It might be like 5 points, 10 points, but it's temporary. It's going to go back up. Do not worry. Whenever you see these dips, do not worry. Over time, they're going to go back up as long as you're doing what you got to do in terms of, like, you know, paying on time, making sure you're not applying for new credit often and stuff like that. So just keep on top of yourself and your score will bounce right back. Also, I would like to add that you are entitled to 1 free credit report each year. So this would be a soft pull as well. But annualcreditreport.com is currently allowing you to pull your credit weekly from all 3 credit unions for free until April 2021. And they're doing this in response to the coronavirus pandemic. So take advantage of this. If you are applying for credit soon or something like that, or you just want to see what's on your credit in terms of, like, you know, any fraud or anybody opening things in your name that you don't recognize, use this to your advantage. So like I said, you can only do this once a week. I feel like you shouldn't be pulling your credit that much anyways. Like, I feel like once a month is fine, but, you know, if you want to be vigilant and you want to check your credit score often. Your credit report. They don't report the scores. They report the report. I didn't see the scores when I looked. But yeah. So tip number 9. I'm kind of new to this because I just paid off my credit card debt last month. But keep your balance really low at the end of the month. So right now, I only use my credit card for groceries and sometimes little things here and there. But I always pay it off by the end of the month. But I never do 0 credit utilization anymore. I leave probably like $5 or something like that. For some reason, it works. I don't know why. I do know why, but I feel like I can't explain it as well as the dude I watched. His name, his YouTube name is BeatThe. I'll leave the video down below, but watch his video. It's 3 years old. I don't know if it still applies, but it worked for me. Tell him I sent you in the comments. Like, spam his comments. No, don't spam his comments. I was just kidding. But if you want to do it, no, I'm just kidding. I won't complain. Tip number 10, and this is very important. Do not leave your credit card idle. So I've noticed that when people are in a lot of debt, they think, oh my gosh, you know what, this is the time to cut up my credit card and, you know, let's pay off some debt. And I get it. You're motivated. You're good to go. But don't cut up your credit card. You're still going to need to use it. If you don't use your credit card, like for a few months, I don't know how many months it is. I don't know if it differs from credit card to credit card. But if you don't use it for a while, your credit card company will think, oh, you're not using this anymore, and will close your account. Some people give notice. Some companies don't give notice. So you don't want to be that person that loses your credit card. You know why? Because I've explained it before. You lose the age of your credit. Especially if it's one of your oldest credit cards and you haven't used it in a while. If you close that, it will mess up your credit score. You do not close accounts unless it's like an installment loan. That makes sense because you're paying off a loan. But for credit cards, do not close the accounts. It's going to mess up the age of your credit and the average age as well. Don't close it. Leave it open. Charge, little things here and there like $5, $10, something that's manageable that you can easily pay off by the end of the month while you're paying off debt. Do not close it. I'll tell you right now, you will be sick. And even if you have a lot of debt and you're not using your credit card, they might just sell your debt to another company. You don't do that. If you made it here to the end, thank you so much for kicking it with me. Hopefully this demystified credit scores and made it a little bit simpler and easier for you to understand now. Hopefully you have the keys to raise your credit scores. Let me know about your credit scores. Are they low? Are they adequate? Are they really good? Are you perfect? If they are perfect, I hate you. That's all I gotta say. And if they are perfect, teach me. Teach me your ways. What did you do to reach 800? Because that's where I'm trying to be. But it is what it is. I will continue to keep mentioning that I'm going to be doing a giveaway once I reach 1,000 subscribers. Continue to share my videos. Continue to interact in the comments. Like, subscribe. Do what you gotta do. You already know what to do. As per usual, spend wisely, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Young, broken, independent, not broken, not quitting, I'ma get it. Even though I still struggle, I'm sufficient. Like what's up, aiming how it's business. Believe me, it's finna happen. They call them detours, we call it passion. How many no's you receive? I just stopped counting. So why you still doing this shit? I'ma cash in the fountain. See this dream dance between my ear canal. Lives inside my heart like a future child. Possess the wisdom in between my smile. The world gotta see me, it may take a while. That's okay, it's prepared for. Played a lot of shows I had to pay for. Define the crowd, me, myself, and I, and the DJ and my homeboys. Good things take some time, I'm like, ooh yeah. Patience is a virtue when I'm moving. Looking at my life, it's a movie. Lot of ups and downs, I'm sticking to it. I got the sauce, I got the drip. I make the play, I get the assist. Impossible, it exists. The slow grind made a better trip.